Someone inside this quiet house knew exactly what had happened. By the time the bodies were discovered, it was already too late. Nothing appeared broken from the outside. The street was calm. The morning felt ordinary. Inside, the silence was heavy. A door stood closed. Upstairs, a room waited undisturbed. Downstairs, a man lay motionless on a sofa. His name was Andrew Borden. He was a wealthy but frugal businessman in Fall River. His second wife, Abby Borden, had been upstairs earlier that morning. She too would be found dead. The house showed no signs of forced entry. There were no reports of a stranger fleeing the scene. The killings had taken place in broad daylight. The weapon was believed to be a hatchet. It was an ordinary household tool. The brutality of the attack shocked the community. Neighbors rushed over when they heard cries for help. Police were called almost immediately. The investigation began inside the home. Officers moved carefully through each room. They examined the parlor. They climbed the narrow staircase. They searched the upstairs bedroom. The timing of the deaths raised questions. Andrew had returned home earlier than expected. Abby had been killed before him. Who had been inside the house that morning? Only a few people were known to be present. The family maid had been working outside. Lizzie Borden said she had been in the barn. She claimed she was searching for fishing equipment. Her explanation seemed calm. Too calm, some later said. Investigators found a hatchet head in the basement. It appeared recently cleaned. A dress Lizzie had worn earlier was later burned. She said it had been stained with paint. Rumors spread quickly through Fall River. The town was divided almost instantly. Some believed she was innocent. Others were certain she was guilty. The newspapers fueled the speculation. Reporters crowded outside the house. Headlines grew more dramatic with each passing day. Lizzie was arrested and charged with murder. The case moved to trial in 1893. The courtroom was packed. Spectators leaned forward to hear every word. The prosecution argued that the killer had to be someone inside the home. They emphasized the lack of forced entry. They pointed to Lizzie's inconsistent statements. They mentioned the burned dress. They displayed the hatchet as evidence. The defense focused on doubt. They highlighted the absence of direct proof. There were no eyewitnesses. There was no clear forensic science in 1892. Blood analysis was primitive. Fingerprinting was not yet standard practice. Much of the case relied on circumstantial evidence. Lizzie remained composed throughout the proceedings. She showed little visible emotion. Some jurors saw that as strength. Others saw it as indifference. After weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated. Their decision came quickly. Lizzie Borden was found not guilty. The verdict stunned many observers. Outside the courthouse, reactions were mixed. Some celebrated. Others whispered in disbelief. Lizzie returned to Fall River, but life there would never be the same. She and her sister moved to a larger home. Society treated her cautiously. She was never tried again. No one else was charged. The murders remained officially unsolved. Over time, the case became a legend. Children recited rhymes about the crime. Writers revisited the mystery. Historians debated the evidence. Was it a crime of anger? Was it a financial motive? Was it something else entirely? More than a century later, the questions remain. The house still stands. Visitors walk its narrow halls. They pause in the parlor. They stand at the foot of the staircase. They imagine that summer morning. The truth, however, was buried with the victims. No confession was ever accepted. No alternative suspect was proven.
All that remains is uncertainty. In the end, the case of Lizzie Borden is not just about guilt or innocence. It is about doubt. It is about how justice works when evidence is limited. And it is about how some mysteries refuse to disappear. Even in a quiet house on a calm street, history can leave questions that never fade.